Hello, hello. I have a great episode for you today on She's Doing All Right, and I am your host, Sarah Carter. Today's episode is a conversation with my best friend of over 20 years. Her name's Sydnee, and we have always just had such great conversations, and we got to be moms together, so that has led us to becoming even closer. And I decided we should record one of these conversations. She has a lot of wisdom to offer. She's very wise and patient and kind, and so, yeah, she's wonderfully sweet and a huge inspiration to me, not just as a wife and a mom, but also just as a person. She's done a lot of things over the years. We grew up together and we've impacted each other's lives throughout everything. But she has her education in behavior intervention, and she was working as an education assistant for a long time. So we do talk a little bit about that. I think it's closer to the second half of the episode, but we discuss a little bit about schooling and education with our kids. And we cover kind of everything revolving around motherhood, changing from a family of 3 to 4. She's got an 18-month-old daughter right now, and she's due with a second baby in May. We talk about hosting a baby shower since the first one couldn't really happen because of COVID, homeschooling, family culture, and how our childhoods will impact the way we raise our kids. Another thing we touch on is kids and food and bodies, because that is a big thing for both of us as well. So we cover a lot. And with that, I would love to welcome Sydnee to She's Doing All Right. What are you most excited about for having 2 babies versus 1?
I'm really excited to watch Georgia fall in love with this baby.
Yes. She's going to be such a good big sister.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to see. I'm a little nervous about the interaction also. Like, you just don't know how it's going to go. Thank you. But she has a baby that she plays with, and she loves it. She feeds the baby, and she wraps the baby, and she puts diapers on the baby. So I'm really excited to involve her in those things.
Like, you can change your baby and mom's gonna change this baby.
Yeah, or like, do you want to bottle feed the baby? And because we'll probably have excess that I want to intentionally have some excess so that Georgia can be involved. So yeah, I'm excited to watch that relationship, but I'm also really excited to, I just can't fathom loving another person the way that I love Georgia. And so to actually experience that, I'm really looking forward to.
I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm at my wit's end, and I'm like, how in the world, I am getting through this simply because I love this person.
Yeah.
And my husband's coming home and I'm snapping at him, because I don't have anything else to give. What am I going to do if there's 2 kids? But then I think of okay, well, a lot of people have really healthy families with multiple children.
Yeah.
Or at least they look like that on the outside. So obviously there's enough love to go around.
Yeah. So it's so true. And I was talking to our friend last night with twins, and I was like, I can't imagine doing that. How do you do it? And she's like, you just do it.
And you don't know any different.
You don't. And so we'll just do it. And there will just be a lot of grace and margin for relearning. And Cody likes to say a lot, it's going to be unlike anything we've ever experienced.
Totally.
And it's true.
We actually, even when we talk about having another one, we also already kind of were aware of how we're going to be mourning the loss of just the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Because we do have so much fun. But then as Marcus is getting older, it's you're playing by yourself, and I can tell you're bored, and you, especially with daycare now, he knows what it's like to play with kids and people his own size. So yeah, I'm you're going to love it, but then it's just weird.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll be somewhat more prepared.
I hope so. Oh my gosh.
Or at least we can prioritize, or we know how to prioritize better, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and every family will do that differently.
But are you guys doing a registry for the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just made one. I felt really weird doing a baby shower and registry again for
I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but I'm not meaning to laugh at you. Just every single time for the second baby shower, I think of David from Schitt's Creek, the sprinkle.
Yeah.
And he's like, what in the hell is a sprinkle? That's such a funny episode. But that is really cool. That's amazing. So yeah, are you going to do another party thing?
I don't know. I was fine with doing literally a sprinkle. Yeah. That's what we were going to do. Yeah. But Cody mentioned that we didn't really have a baby shower the first time.
No, you didn't.
We had that online,
which I thought
Facebook Live. It was really cute. But we just watched Cody's sister and her husband do their baby shower and had a bunch of friends over, and like they did fun games, and it was co-ed, which I love.
Yes,
a co-ed baby shower. So we kind of want to do something like that, and then just make gifts optional. Just be like,
love that.
We just want you to come and celebrate.
Since we didn't get to do it in person.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people should be doing that after COVID.
I think so
even
too.
Like birthday parties and yeah, just anything that you couldn't celebrate before, like just do it now.
I know.
Or just go out and celebrate for fun.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel bad for a lot of friends too that got married during COVID because they obviously had the intention of, oh, we'll do a reception when everything opens up again. But then you get busy and so you just don't do it. Yeah. But I hope that they find some sort of way to actually celebrate like the way they really wanted to. So yeah, I felt a little bit awkward about the second baby shower, but now I'm like, no, it's worth celebrating just as much as it was the first time. So.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
definitely agree. Yeah, I feel kind of like it's like when someone gets married a second time, it would be almost weird if they didn't have a registry, right?
Yeah,
it's like it's a new life and it's like a new chapter in your life. So it's
like,
if you don't want to contribute, don't contribute.
Yeah,
right.
And
like
there's no expectation
to. It's like it's not a big deal if someone wants to host that or wants to put up a registry, like just in case, right?
Yeah. And I would much rather have intentionally given gifts than just bulk gifts, because the transition from 1 to 2 is also very specific and it's expensive. And so however anyone wants to support that, I'm just so grateful for it. But yeah,
because even something like diapers, like you guys it's gonna be 2 in diapers for a little while still.
Yeah,
like diapers are expensive.
They're so expensive. And I was quite ambitious. We got our daughter a toilet seat for Christmas, hoping to start that in the new year, because I was like, I just want one kid in diapers, and I have not been able to. I think we sat her on it like the day we got it, and it was a big deal, and we definitely should have rode with that momentum, but we have not. So I'll still try for it, but
I did that a little bit with Marcus as well, but like when he was like a year old, I was trying, or not even, actually a little younger, I was trying to do the elimination communication. And it seemed to be okay, but like I think he needs a cover because I don't think he likes the way it feels to sit down, which I mean, free or fair.
Yeah.
If you're just squatting and free pooping.
Yeah.
And then you've got like rings on your body and you're like, what is happening?
What's going on?
This isn't comfortable.
We also found that George really liked the toilet seat that goes on the toilet. Much more than just the pretend toilet potty. And it kind of, and I guess it eliminates the transition from small potty to big potty. So, but who knows? We'll do it for the first time.
I was going to do something like that, and then the only thing that was available was a Paw Patrol one. And I was like, I'm not buying him any cartoon stuff because I don't want him to get obsessed with any specific cartoon thing until he absolutely is. Like, when he's old enough to start asking me for the Mighty Trains things, then we'll start considering it. Like, I'm not going to deck him out in cartoons being like, are you excited?
Were you expecting to like have a certain aesthetic when you were pregnant with him?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of gave that up immediately when I realized the cost of an aesthetic. But I really just want to, like, I love the beautiful, cohesive parties and rooms and stuff that people have nowadays. But for myself, I really just, it's too much to balance. Because it feels very overwhelming, and it feels like if I get one thing wrong, it's just no longer fitting it. So I stick to like neutrals, right, with the color of his room and everything like that. But no, I also love secondhand, and I'm not going to be like, if I can find something really good secondhand, then I'll take it. And my only thing that I don't do is giant pictures or stupid logos. And stupid, I guess, is a bit like vague, because I know that people that I admire have gotten baby shirts with the same phrases on them that I was like, I quite literally told somebody that I will never put my kid in that, even if you buy it for me. Like, no thank you. So there's certain things where I'll put my kid in the picture, or put the kid in the photo, and it's like, some of them are funny, like if puns are funny, okay, but the ones that are like, mommy's new sidekick, barf.
Sorry to anybody that's bought that before.
I know. And I mean, just personal. I'm not gonna look at your kid in that shirt and be like, ew. I'm gonna look at your kid in that shirt and go, that is so cute. And I'm just gonna say, if you are like, oh, do you want it after we're done with it? I'm gonna say, no thank you. You know, that's
totally
all
fair. We found that just reminded me, we were in Walmart a little while ago looking for bathing suits really quickly, but we came across this one bathing suit shirt and it has a picture of the turtle, and the saying is, "Only you can save us." So in other words, stop using straws. But like, why are you putting this message on a kid's bathing suit? And how like guilt trippy this cute little turtle, and it's only you can save us. Like, you're right, but not appropriate.
Oh my god, what a bizarre thing to put on a kid's suit. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I figured something like that would be in a more niche kid store, but in Walmart?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, kids' bathing suits are also a whole topic. Like kids' clothes. Isn't it nuts how fast she goes through them?
So fast.
And I remember you had one of the cutest little setups. You sent us a picture, and it was like all the clothes and stuff hung up, and it was so cute. And I was like, I hope she gets time to wear those. And it was like 6 items.
Yeah.
You know, like I have people that have gotten so much stuff for each month, and I'm like, you don't need that much. Like, yeah. But then it's just a scramble trying to get your kid into everything.
It is, and I feel like I think you learn the first time too, like what fits, what your style ends up being, and but like I've gotten rid of tons of clothes for her, and still I've got the most giant tote of clothes from like newborn to not even 12 months, and it's overflowing. Yeah. And
I've got 2 boxes downstairs.
Yeah, it's insane. And she wore a lot of it maybe like twice. And then I gave Cody's sister-in-law a bunch of baby's clothes for her girl, and a lot of it was brand new. Yeah. Like we never even got to wear it. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I wish that is one piece of advice I had listened to was you don't need a lot of clothes.
Yes. I think also that one it's a little bit, because I was like very hardcore on that before, being like, oh my gosh, like don't buy into that. You don't need that much stuff. But then I kind of realized it depends on your personality. Like, that's true. If you're a no mess kind of person and you cannot handle looking at your kid with a bit of spit up or crumbs or something on their shirt, then you're going to need more, because you're going to be changing them every hour or two, right? Whereas for me, I was like, nope, like if it's not going to stain, it's staying there. Yeah. Right? Like I'll wipe you off. You can sit there with a wet spot in your shirt for 5 minutes. I used a lot of burp cloths. Yeah. So I've had people be like, we did not go through any burp cloths. You don't need that many. And I think that's the swap. You go through a lot of burp cloths, or you go through a lot of clothes. Yeah. And I would much rather fold cloths than clothes. True. True. And even then though, with the burp cloth, I'm like, well, because Marcus was like a projectile puker.
He was.
Like it was aggressive. I sometimes blocked that part on my memory. But he would throw up so much, and then I'd like flip the cloth around essentially, right? And use that even for a while. So. Totally.
And did you use drool bibs for Marcus?
No, because it kind of weirded me out. I didn't like how close they sat around his neck. Yeah. I don't like the necklaces on babies, and like even some of his outfits, his shirts, it just felt like it was sitting too tight against him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, we had some of the drool bibs, but again, he didn't really drool. He just vomited.
So a friend of mine, they just had their first baby, and she spits up like here and there a little bit, and they're like, oh, you puked. Oh no. Yeah. There's so much puke. You puke so much. I'm like, no. Yeah. I have a friend. Yeah. That's nothing.
I think I was 4 months postpartum, and my mom and grandpa came and visited, and I was holding Marcus on the couch, and Papa's sitting at the table, and I think my mom was on the couch with me or something. And Marcus, I think I fed him. Like I finished nursing him, and I sat him up. And as I sat him up, he just looked at me and opened his mouth. There was no sign that he was going to be doing this. Yeah. Opens his mouth, and projectiles, like my mouth, my whole chest, my hair, everything. I was like, it was like a movie where they just like fire hose. Yeah. It was disgusting. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I'm like holding Marcus out like this, like shaking, because I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, where do I begin? What do I clean up first, myself or him or the couch? Like, what is happening? And get him to the bathroom. I'm like, Mom, help me, Mom, help me. And my papa, he's just like, Jesus, that kid's going to start crying. It's just puke. And I'm like, easy for you to say. You're sitting over there.
Yeah, it didn't happen to you.
I feel like I've been bathing in Alfredo sauce at this point. Yeah. Like, this is disgusting. disgusting.
It is, and it's really gross because, like, I remember Georgia would spit up a little bit of breast milk or whatever formula that I felt like she just ingested.
Yes.
But coming out, it was still so sour.
Yes.
It didn't smell anything like what it did before. And it's like, it just, I don't know what happens in there, but it changes so quick and it is gross coming out.
It's really nasty.
Sometimes anyways. And yeah, it was, I'm not looking
no
forward to that. I will not be wearing nice clothes for a while.
Lessons learned.
Yeah. Lessons are learned.
What are you most excited about from like going from the 1 and the family of 3 to a family of 4?
Excited about?
I haven't thought about that.
I haven't thought about that, honestly. Something I am really excited about, but it's more down the road, is having more people to create a home culture with.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and I've been reading a really good book on that.
What's it called?
It's called Raising Tiny Disciples.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool and it's very practical. But it's just inspiring me to like really sit with Cody and like for us to sit and talk about what's important to us in our family. How do we want to cultivate those things in our family? What are passions we want to set? What are activities we want to share with our kids? How do we want to structure our home? What are our values? And something that we talked about before we had our first was, I think, this is embarrassing, I don't remember, but that our words for our family were authentic, sacrificial, and I can't remember the other one.
It's pregnancy brain.
Pregnancy brain, yeah. But being authentic, so like doing what we say.
Yes.
Like, and sacrificial is to serve others, like sacrifice for others and serve. And that's something that we would try to model in our marriage with each other. And so we want to pass that on to our children and in obviously safe and healthy ways.
Totally.
But so I'm really excited for like down the road to be able to verbalize that and like interact with our kids about that. And so and that's family dinners, I think that's another thing. It's like family meals and listening to our kids talk to each other and think out loud and stuff. So the little years, like I'm loving a lot, but I'm really looking forward to what like a culture looks like in our home later and how I can help cultivate that. And
I think it's really because we just set our family values as well.
Okay.
We want to continue working on it. But one of the biggest things that we had to continue discussing throughout the whole process of setting them was like, okay, you want your kids to do this. Where does that show up in your own life? Yeah, exactly. And there was a lot that we had to cross out because it's things that we would love for our kids to do, but we're like, we're not even modeling that already. So let's continue to model that. And then if it sticks, we can then expect that and be like, this is a family rule. Yeah. But I'm not going to hold my kids to rules that I'm already not living by. Right. Or values and being like, nope, in this family, we do this. And it's like, but mom, you're not.
But you don't do that. Yeah.
And then also leaving room for them to like setting up a family value list and like building your culture, but then also leaving room for them to grow because eventually they're going to grow off or go off and create their own cultures.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to be like, hey, everything I do right now is like shaping your future. And that means that you're shaping other people's future because your kid is going to impact other people's lives.
Yes, absolutely. And something that the book is by Felicia Masonheimer, and she wrote in it that you're going to cultivate a culture in your house regardless. You're going to have a culture in your home and you need to be intentional about it. Otherwise, it could end up being negative. Yes. And so you're going to have unregulated. Yeah, me too. Well, yeah. And so you just, if you want it to be positive, you have to be intentional about that. Otherwise, you might end up influencing with improper habits or unhealthy habits, damaging habits. And
so you had, similar to me, it's broken families, separated by faith and like not whatever the other non-faith, right? So like what was something that you loved from your upbringing overall or individually according to households that you want to bring into your household? And what is something that you experienced growing up in both that you maybe you don't want to like eliminate completely, but you just are going to choose to do differently based off the lessons you watched your parents go through?
So you're talking about something from either family that I want to bring into our culture and then something that I don't? That's a good question.
Thank you. It's one that I cannot get my husband to answer because he's like, my family was great. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, everything was good.
Just ask me to think. Sorry, being your husband now. Asking me to think. You're like, what are the deep questions?
The deep questions, yeah, that's funny. Something I think, and I kind of touched on it before, but something that stands out right now is the mealtimes.
Yes.
In my one family, we always had meals together. There was routine,
yes,
which I thrive on right now as a mom. And so I knew what was coming. I knew there'd always be, a warm meal at the end of the night that we look forward to. And even though mealtimes were hard as a teenager, like I was the oldest, as you were, and they were often like really irritating and exhausting. All my siblings were super loud and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Some of our favorite conversations and memories also came from those mealtimes.
Yes.
And so I just think they're so important. And
I love that.
Yeah, me too. It's really special. And then my other side of the family, something I can take away. My mom always like kind of had an open door policy. Like my friends were always over. We were always like visiting and laughing and talking, and my mom was there chatting with us. And we really want to also have that in our home, like our kids.
She was such a safe place for my sister and I.
Yeah,
like to be able to go to somebody and be like, I don't know how I feel about answering questions or other people answering questions to my kids that I don't want answered yet. But at the same time, I think it was really healthy considering we were growing up in such a sheltered area. Being able to come to your mom and ask questions and having her be like, well, you're 12. I didn't really want to explain what that means, but I'm going to do it. And then please go talk to your parents.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to not answer your question.
Yeah.
I always appreciated her openness to discuss things like that.
Totally. And there wasn't anything you couldn't ask. No. There wasn't anything that was too taboo or too inappropriate. Or I think it's really great to have a safe place to go and do that and not feel shameful for asking these questions or having to wrestle through something that's vulnerable or uncomfortable. So, but yeah, I just imagine like a bunch of teenagers like sitting around our table like after school or whatever. And I hope that I hope I'm not like the weird mom that's like a little too invasive, but I definitely could be.
I think you're going to be that fun mom who always has like a good blend of healthy and fun snacks. Like you're going to have like potato chips and carrots next to each other, you know? And like choose which one you want to dip into the good dip that I made homemade.
Yeah. Here's the dip for both. Yeah. You do whatever you want with it. Yeah.
And I feel like you're going to be that parent that like everyone's going to be calling you like, hi, Mrs. C. Or like something like that, you know? Like people are going to be calling you just fun names. And you're going to be that fun person that like the girls and guys all come to you for advice if they can't go to their own parent. Or I could actually really see them coming to you for advice on how to talk to their parents.
Yeah, that's a big one. I hope so. Yeah. I just hope you have a warm home.
Yeah.
Things that I won't. I think this one's kind of for both sides, but I think it's around food, diet.
Yes.
That's all my answers are kind of around food, actually.
It's okay, you're pregnant. Hungry.
Exactly. All the time. It's on mind. It was interesting. I don't even know what to say about this, but I'll try to get there. One side was very, very healthy. One side had to feed 5 children of different ages, different appetites on a budget, right? One working parent. So we weren't allowed, like we ate at mealtimes. And I think like, I'm sure if we asked for a snack, like we could have fruit or something. But you just can't afford to have 5 kids free eating all day. So it's not like something I disagree with my parents, but and then the other side was a lot less healthy, a lot less regular, but there was a lot of talk about diet and like fad diets or weight loss. And
directed to you or directed to like, the parents talking about themselves? Like did your parents eat separate meals from you?
Not really. So one side just talked about food like that's really bad for you. You shouldn't have it. That's it. Okay. You don't ever have that food. It's bad for you. And then the other side was just, I need to only eat high fat foods, or I need to only, I'm doing this diet now or whatever. And so just kind of like that relationship of, I don't know what food is. Like, I love the taste of food. I love the taste of unhealthy food, but it's bad for me, so I feel guilty eating it.
Yeah.
But then I'm being told on the other side, well, if I eat this food, oh, you just do this workout and then it'll be good and you're okay.
And like, you always, whatever you eat, you have to have a plan for how to get rid of it.
Yeah.
As in, your body doesn't need anything to sustain it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and it's, again, like our parents did with what they had. And so I hold no resentment to anybody for anything that they did. But
we get to learn from their mistakes.
We do. Yeah. And I'm grateful for the intentionality that was put into the decisions our families made. But moving forward with our kids, I think we really want to try and teach our kids, like, this is, all food is fuel. Your body's going to use all the food that you ingest. We want to prioritize, like, just modeling a healthy, active lifestyle, like being outside, running around, hiking. Look at what your body's doing. Look at, oh, I'm so glad I had this for lunch because, or whatever I had for lunch, because it's fueling this hike that we're doing, or it's fueling you sleeping. And then with the food, like, this is good fuel. Your body's going to use this. It's going to help you do this. And this is fun fuel.
Yes.
And it's not fun all the time if you have it every time, all the time. And paying attention to how food makes you physically feel. Like, how do you feel after eating, like, 3 bowls of popcorn?
Yeah.
Do you feel the same as when you did when you ate 1? Like, and not in a shameful way, but just pay attention to how it makes you feel and go by that.
And not just on stomach, because I feel like a lot of our upbringing, just the society in the early 2000s was, like, very focused on the stomach.
Yeah.
But forgetting, like, okay, if you eat this and you start feeling headaches, even if it's maybe good for mom, maybe she loves toast, but if toast is making you have a headache, let's go get that checked out. Because especially if your tummy doesn't feel good too, like, maybe there's a gluten allergy or something, like, teaching them that, there's just the fun fuel and good fuel is not equal for everyone.
Yeah. And also, like, I remember nights where we would eat, like, remember when we get those McCain chocolate cakes and we'd eat chips and we'd totally, like, eat just tons of food and watch fun movies, and we would feel so gross at the end of the night. But those foods, like, we went out for dinner and had memories. They're nostalgic. They created a memory. We had a great time.
Yeah.
And so I think, like moderation, like,
I agree.
It's experience. Like, food can be both experience and pleasure and fuel, and obviously, like, we're talking, like, we know how to combat diet culture, and we don't, but we can. I try not to. I don't want to pendulum swing too far the other way, but I really do want to try and just create some sort of, like, a healthier mindset toward food, and not a hyper fixated on either side.
Yes.
Mindset. Yeah.
I think that focusing too much on anything makes it become, like, that fixation. But then what I think in Western issue is, like, in Western America, is that we eat very mindlessly.
Yes.
So
very
true. In Europe, it's very uncommon to go to a restaurant and have people on their phone, at least from what I've seen, right? People are sitting, talking, or taking photos maybe, or they're just, like, enjoying the experience, but the phones aren't there, the TV's not there. And we're trying to not do that too. Like, once a week we have a TV dinner and we're usually watching a cooking show.
Yeah.
But I think that mindfulness when we eat makes it just, you're just grateful for the food in front of you. There's no guilt tripping about, man, there's kids in part of this world that would love to have your piece of broccoli. Eat it. It's like, how does me eating it help though? Like, no, we're not going to do that. Just being grateful for what we have.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
respecting our bodies when we've had enough.
Absolutely. How are you finding that, actually? Because I remember when we were pregnant together, we were talking about how we would never force our kids to eat food, or we wouldn't, like, we wouldn't withhold, like, dessert if our kids didn't finish their meal or whatever. But we're running into the problem now, and I said all those things, but now we're running into the problem of, she actually, like, didn't eat anything at dinner, but she needs to eat, and she hasn't eaten at lunch. And so now I feel like I'm going back on what I said, and I'm like, okay, well, like, try this bite right again. I trick her into eating it, because I'm like, you do need this protein, and you do need these minerals. And I don't, like, we don't do a lot, but I'm like, how are you finding that
I resort to the bottle a lot because he really only does that if he's feeling sick. So if he stops eating, I know he's not feeling very good.
Okay.
If he doesn't like that, what we have for dinner, then it's a bottle. And the next time, like the next day, I make a point of making one of his favorite foods. So normally he loves rice and salmon, or he loves pasta. And again, the sauces, I think I'm going to start blending it up because I was telling a friend about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Like blend up the veggies in the sauce so it's a smooth sauce, but you still get all the benefits of it. So I don't do that very often. I leave it as like a chunky sauce, but he hates peppers, and he will put a full, like, he'll grab like a penny noodle and like have a handful of it, shove it in his mouth, and he will chew and then spit out like 4 pieces of pepper. And I'm like, I don't know how you did that.
I don't know.
Kind of impressed.
That happens in our house too all the time.
I'm just grateful that he now like looks at me and reaches for my hand, and then he spits into my hand instead of like spitting into his hand and throwing it on the floor. So I'm like, we're making progress, I guess. There's your no thank you dish.
That's really good. I'm so glad we have the bibs with that catch everything, because ours will like take a big, like, we'll sneak in, we'll do like potatoes, and then the chicken, she doesn't like do the chicken, and then we'll do something she really likes in the end. So then she'll eat it and she'll chew and blah, 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 and she just goes and it just all falls out. We're like, oh my gosh, we were so close.
I know. You're like, well, guess I thought you were dumb and you're not.
Yeah.
But I feel like making their favorite foods. Like I saw somebody saying that the reason that kids have like these stereotypical kids foods of chicken fingers or mac and cheese, it's because those are the foods that kids eat.
Yeah.
I also have seen things that not necessarily just for kids, but for anyone who's wanting to eat healthier. They're like, having something fun with something healthy does not take away the goodness of the healthy. So like if eating carrots, if you need to eat more vegetables and eating ranch is how you're going to get those vegetables, dip your veggies in ranch. Yeah. It's not like you're not eating ranch with carrots, you're eating carrots with ranch.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to take away from it, right? So same thing with like, yeah, if it's mac and cheese, I mean, obviously we don't really eat dairy here too much, but I'll make a pasta with the red sauce usually. And if I don't even include veggies sometimes, because I'm like the sauce has certain veggies. Nutritional yeast is a really nice way to add in like a little bit of extra. And I've just started giving him a multivitamin. I break it in half, so he has like a smaller piece, but he eats the whole thing. And then making sure that there's like supplements in his bottle, so probiotic and vitamin D. And yeah, it always just, it's a small phase.
Yeah,
right? I saw somebody say, focus on, even for ourselves, focus on what your kid eats in a week, not in a day.
Yeah.
Because we have days, like you were saying earlier, we have days or nights where we eat horrible food, all right, quote unquote, but we don't feel great the next day, and the rest of the week maybe we're eating our normal, healthy, well-rounded or well-balanced meals. So it's like, why would we look at that one day and be like, oh my gosh, like I've been eating horrible lately?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, no, it's your kid's actually doing pretty good when you look at what they've eaten a whole week.
Totally.
And also appetite fluctuations. There's certain days where I don't have an appetite, so I kind of check out with him, and if he's cranky, then he's sick. But
now that I think about it too, often my motivation to make her eat at dinner, because she has a bottle before bed, but if she eats, I know that if she has a better dinner and then her bottle, she'll sleep longer.
I know, same.
So my motivation is like, oh, maybe like, you know, if I stuff her real full, she'll sleep way longer and I'll get some more sleep.
Yeah. Our parents, the solution was whiskey. We're just like overfeeding our kids.
Speaking of healthy habits. Oh, you're full? Here. Have a little bit more.
The kids are gonna be like, I need more pie and just sleep well tonight.
We live with my in-laws, and so one of their favorite things to do is give her treats, of course. And her bumpa. Cody's dad loves to give her dessert. Like, it's his love language with her. He gives her like bites of his toast in the morning. And like lately he's been leaving a little piece of toast and like a couple little slices of cheese on the cutting board, so that when we come down, she's got her snack. It's really cute. But he like, and I really want to allow the grandparents to make those memories and have, and so we don't really have a lot of rules around it.
No.
As long as it's not like every day. Yeah. But even then, whatever. But anyways, one of the nights she just wasn't really eating much dinner, and then her bumpa comes in, and he's got like those mini ice cream bars, like on a stick, but they're like mini ones, but they're still like,
that's a good size for their body,
big.
like a little crock body.
Really cute, but I thought he was just gonna share like bites of it with her. He's like, here you go, and he just gives her the whole thing. And I was like, well, she's having a great time. But it's a memory that's really sweet. But it was really funny to watch.
I took Marcus after we went for an allergy test to get him tested for dairy or lactose intolerance, and the person was like, yeah, like, I don't know if we should do the test because he doesn't look like he wants to be poked right now, and he also sounds like it's just lactose, not like an allergy. It's or intolerance, not an allergy. So I'm like, okay, like, cleared that up. We're gonna try and like eliminate dairy. And then I don't know what I was doing. We went to Costco, and I decided, like, okay, he and I can have some fries and ice cream after. So I ordered some ice cream as like a, yay, you passed your testing. That never happened. Right. And he didn't really touch the fries, and he ate a ton of the ice cream. Loved it. And then I did not sleep for that night and was in so much tummy pain, obviously. And I was like, yeah, that's right. He said not an allergy, but most likely still an intolerance.
Still a little sensitive.
Yeah. So, I was like, okay. Grandparents giving kids snacks is so funny. Like, I love it. Families.
It's really sweet.
Like, yeah. It's like every single time they're like, can we give them chocolate? I'm like, it's 7 p.m., but sure.
Yeah. All right. It's a treat. You're not asking me to keep them up, so I'll take this instead.
Yeah.
We weren't going to do sugar till 1.
Yeah.
And like, we were pretty loose with it, but I think we gave her like an ice cream by the time she was 10 months or whatever. But our goal was 1 year. Yeah. But we always laugh. Again, it was her bumpa that he asked me one day when we were visiting, can I give Georgia a little bit of applesauce? And I was like, oh yeah, she loves applesauce. So he comes over and he gives her a little bite of applesauce, and she loves it and she wants more. And I think she must have been like 7 months or something. And then I look at the counter and there's an apple pie on the counter. Like, you're giving her apple pie filling. He's like, yeah, applesauce. I'm like, that's not applesauce. But it was so funny, and we're still talking about it.
So obviously desserts. Like, not even just food, it's like desserts.
Yeah. It's literal desserts, yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was really funny. So I was like, all right.
Are you hoping to homeschool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the first while, for sure.
How do you feel with, like, because you have the education background, and that's just like a behavior analyst?
I did behavior intervention, and I was an education assistant. So that's what I'm educated in, and then I was trained in behavior interventions as well. Okay.
How do you feel like those and your time in the classrooms have like reaffirmed that you want to be homeschooling?
I see teachers working very hard, and yeah, and I never want to take away from the job of the teacher, because it's a huge undertaking, especially like the ratio of teacher to students.
It's so not okay.
It's such a problem, and then on top of that, the amount of curriculum you have to get through, and a lot of students now, like I would say the majority of what I've seen, they struggle and they're behind, and there's a lot of learning challenges. On top of like behavior challenges, like there's just so much against kids right now. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what it is, and if we just have more awareness, or if there's something going on, like, I don't know. But what I've seen is kids are being given all of this information they have to learn in a certain amount of time. There's one teacher and maybe 2 support staff, if that, in a classroom, and 30 kids. Yeah. And probably 20 of them have learning challenges of some sort and need help. And those kids, they don't not pass the grade. Yeah. Like, I don't think, rarely anyways, do you hold a kid back. Like, there has to be serious stuff. And so, but one of the most important things in any child or even adult of development is you don't move forward until you've mastered a skill. Yeah. So you don't level up until you've mastered the previous skill. And so kids are like in grade 4, 5, 6, starting to learn something, say like algebra or multiplication and division, like long division. And you're going to need multiplication and division for almost every single math topic moving forward. But these kids are in tears and they're struggling and they do not know how to divide or multiply, but they take the test and then they're moved on to the next level and then they're drowning and they end up in middle school where there's a lot more independence and they don't know how to do the basic skill yet. And it's not the teacher's fault. No. It's the way it's set up.
It's the system.
It's the system. And
I feel too like parents are not taking enough accountability at home.
No, and it's so hard because I'm also not an advocate for like a ton of homework.
I agree. I hate homework.
And so it's like, what do you do? There's no solution to this problem. And so it is really important to us. That's one of our main reasons for homeschooling is I just really want to be the one to, maybe it's arrogant of me to say, but like I have the skills and I want to be able to help my kids master the basics and flourish in them and feel confident in them so that when they move forward, they're confident moving forward. And I also believe kids learn differently. And you can't.
100%.
And something that's I've also seen is we're starting to teach a group of kids all the different ways they can do a skill and then having them choose to pick a way to do the skill. So then you're like,
overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming. And I can see how that like some kids could grasp that. Be like, oh yeah, that's how my brain works. And but when you learned multiplication and then you memorized it and you started using it in everyday life or in other levels, you kind of, caught on to how your brain works and how things fit, right? And so, but that's what we're trying to teach ahead of time is all the patterns and the techniques. And so anyways,
it's coming out of a different approach.
And so if my kid doesn't learn how to read until she's 7 years old, okay, like we'll work on that until and then one day it's going to click and you're going to love reading. But I would rather her feel confident about reading later at whatever pace that she needs to, instead of me forcing her to learn how to read and then her hate reading.
Totally. And I think that's such the case for so many people. You and I were both homeschooled for most of the homeschooling or most of stuff, right? Like you went elementary school and then you were homeschooled?
No, I did elementary school and I went up until I think in 10th grade I started homeschooling.
Right. Okay. Yes. And then that's kind of the opposite because I was homeschooled up until about grade 11. So what was something you loved about the homeschooling once you switched versus the public school or going to a school? Like, did you feel like your teachers or your parents were able to like communicate better, more freedom, or did you kind of get lost in that a little bit?
No, I think I loved homeschooling for where I started. I loved it for the reason that I was at home and I could learn the way that I think I excelled better. Because I learned from reading what I was supposed to do. I could take the time to read and reread what I was being taught and rewatch a video and I was very insecure and very shy. So to raise my hand and ask a question and then get people laughing at me or like, oh, to talk about it again and like make comments like that. So I just wouldn't ask for help.
Totally.
So I flourished in certain subjects in homeschool, which was great. So different type of learning, more freedom. I had more free time. I was able to get a job at 16, which was great.
Oh
yeah. I hated the job, but it was nice to get out of the house. I definitely missed the social aspect of school. Like I remember I was on a pretty competitive basketball team when we got pulled out.
Right.
And so I missed those connections. And it was really sad to watch my friends like graduate without me. And like I wasn't involved in that or anything. So that was hard, but overall I liked the experience.
Would you're hoping to find like a balance with like sports teams and stuff like that for your kids?
Oh yeah.
Or find more homeschooling groups?
I don't know at this point. Since we're so far away from it.
That's fair.
But where we live, there is quite a large homeschooling community.
Nice.
And so I'm not really worried about the social aspect of that. Our kids are going to be outside. We have lots of friends. We're going to be in sports. stuff like that. So they'll definitely be involved. And I know that I can't speak for how long we're going to homeschool or what it's going to look like.
The world, we don't even know what the world's going to look like in 5 years.
Yeah, will we be allowed to homeschool? I don't know.
I know. We talk about that a lot too.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think we're kind of out of time. Yeah. Thanks for coming to visit and talking. I love talking about motherhood with you. Yeah. And I'm glad I'm sure the viewers will love it as well. So
how could they not?
Yes. All right, that was a long one. Thank you so much for listening to that. I'm hoping I can upload it with no problems. Please let me know what you think of today's episode. There will be a post over on Instagram at She's Doing All Right. And if you'd like to support the show, commenting and engaging with our online posts is a really key way to do it, as well as rating and leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Please share it with your friends and family. Follow us on Instagram. And if you'd like to follow my personal pages, you can do so on TikTok and on Instagram at sarah.g.carter. I'm going to end it right there so we're not going too much further. So thank you so much for listening. Have a beautiful day and find a way to spread some kindness today. I'll see you in the next episode.